So I want to talk a little bit about the importance of doing things now and not giving yourself the excuse, really not even seeing it as legitimate to put off decisions that you're clear on. And by clear, that's kind of this ambiguous word, because a lot of people say shit like, oh, I just don't feel ready. It's like all going on feelings, which throughout this, I'm going to explain why you can't trust your feelings, and your feelings are actually going to lead you astray. And by astray, I mean you have a highest potential in your life. Like, you can really rise up and do really great things for yourself, for your family, for the community, for the world. But if you just go based on your feelings and what feels convenient, what feels good, what feels right, what feels all of that, right? It's going to lead you astray, because where did your feelings come from? You probably don't even know the answer to that question. But your feelings were programmed into you from a young age. Think of the little girl who watches a Disney movie. She's going to feel feelings of love and happiness when she thinks of the idea of a Prince Charming. But last time I checked, in reality, there's no real fucking Prince Charming. Period. And so this will fuck over a woman, because she'll grow up and she'll think, oh, I'm just waiting for a Prince Charming to come on his horse or his modern day, his Ferrari, whatever you think it is. Which in reality is, you're going to have a feeling that that's what you think you want. But in reality, it's not. One, it's not accurate to reality. It's not mapped to physical reality. But two is that idea of Prince Charming, again, because it's a figment of your imagination. You don't realize what the best guy could actually be for you, which might be a guy who may not look exactly like Prince Charming, or may not act in exactly a certain way. But I know plenty of women now that have become dear friends of mine and my wife Jessica, who are so grateful that they were willing to question their feelings. And it doesn't mean that you just don't account for your feelings at all. It means use your feelings as a guide of where you're accepting limitation. And it doesn't mean also that you're going to lose your feelings, or that, I should just... See, this is so funny about the mind. You'll go into polarity of, if I shouldn't feel like he's Prince Charming, am I supposed to hate him? Am I supposed to not feel love? It's like, no, don't be silly. It just means that the feeling isn't the ultimate priority. The ultimate priority is you have a partner who's on the same page with you, willing to walk together to both support you to achieve your highest potential. And let's be honest, like, if you think a person is repulsive and they don't look good to you and they smell bad and you think they talk funny and they have opposing views to you on all fronts, don't go be with that person. That would be stupid. But let's say the person, there's kind of like a baseline, like, hey, they're pretty attractive, right? They're, it makes sense, right? This is back to the point of what I mean of, as long as you are clear enough. It's like, okay, we see enough eye to eye, right? We agree on some basic fundamental things. Let's make this happen. Let's move forward. Now, here's what's so important of looking at this. Whether it be you looking for a partner, you looking to start a new opportunity, start a new project, start a new business, continue with a project, continue with a business, form a new relationship, right? Move, go to a different state, stay in the same state. Whatever your situation in life, when you have to make a decision, you got to just look at, first, what are your principles that you stand by? Do you have those principles? If not, get clear on them. And then look at actual reality, not your feelings, your imagination of what you think might be possible. Because guess what? That old cliche of the grass is always greener on the other side is always so true. Right? I know people who are like, oh, I'm tired of living here in this city or state. I want to move to Florida. That's going to solve my problems. And don't get me wrong. There are certain people I know who went to Florida for a specific reason, and they're crushing it. And it was the best decision because they were clear on their principles. But for a lot of people, they have this idea of, if I just move there, or if I just break up with this person and then I do this thing, it's like, that somehow is going to solve my problems or whatever. That's like really, really not a good way of looking at life. And here's why. Because the more you waver, and I don't mean like, Here's a phrase. Be firm in your principles, but be flexible in your expression. I would write that one down. That one took me a while to learn and really understand. But be firm in your principles. And then in your expression, right, you might have to realize, like, hey, I might have, I might not have everything. I might not have the whole picture here, but I'm firm enough. I'm clear enough. And here's the point. Every day that you put off a decision, every day that you hold back and you don't just pull the trigger and move forward, as long as you're clear enough, and by enough, I mean you have some basic principles and you can see how it makes sense to take this next step or stop taking a certain step. As long as you're clear enough, then do the thing. Why? Because every day that you hold off on making that decision, you not only put back the result. Let's say you wait for 2 days, or in your mind, you're like, I'm just going to wait for 2 days. I just have to feel a little bit better. I'm going to wait for 2 days because I just feel that that's right, or whatever your mind thinks is the justification, which your mind is flawed because, again, it was programmed in your first 7 years by Disney, magazines, your mom, your dad, your babysitter, your cousin, like all of that. So your mind is not accurate to reality. So every day that you put off a decision because of whatever your mind excuse is, you put back your real highest purpose, highest ability. You put that back not just another day or two. It's exponential. Really look at this. Here's a prime example. Jessica, my wife, and I can give you many examples, but one of them was we were looking for a home. And did I feel ready to go buy a home? Barely. Not even, frankly. I knew our business was having a lot of success, but I also had my mind telling me, just wait a month. Like, it's going to feel a lot more comfortable if we just wait a month and we make sure we have all the money, can do the down payment, can do all that for the home. It's going to feel like I'm under pressure if I make this decision to get this home. But because Jessica and I are in alignment in our principles, we just looked at our principles of, okay, let's do the best thing, not just what comes easy. Let's take full self-responsibility. Let's be brutally honest with ourselves. Let's give as we would like to receive. So we're going through the principles together in the context of, are we ready to now go look for a home and make it happen? And I looked at the principles, and deep down in my self-honesty, I knew, we can figure it out. We can figure it out. I know I'm not going to have all the steps. I know I'm not going to have it all mapped out. But you're never going to feel ready. I've come to realize that through building a business and making over $1 million doing that, is you're never going to feel ready. And if you waited till you feel fully ready, you waited too long and you missed out. Now, it doesn't mean go be stupid. If you still got to go do the thing, go do the thing. But that's a pretty interesting phenomenon right there. So we're looking at this situation, right? Okay, well, we're still renting this house, right? Paying a lot of money to rent this house. And now we want to go get a new house. I'm like, there's going to be an overlap. We're going to have so many bills just on our living. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so stressful. Blah, 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 blah. Excuse. And then I realized, you know what? I know enough. I'm smart enough. The business is growing. I will figure it out. Worst case scenario, I trust myself. I can always find a way to build the business, make more money, right? I'm creative. Because life, you create opportunity no matter what. It's autopilot because you are part of life. Now your mind will sabotage it, but you as life, you create, you keep expanding. Key insight right there. So I look at the situation, right? And I say, okay, what would be best to do? Not just what's easier comes I feel like it's right? Such BS. And I realized, you know what? Okay, let's do it. On the spot, I was like, you know what? Okay, I looked at the numbers one more time. I'm like, okay, I've looked at the numbers enough. Let's just go. Let's do it, Jess. She said, okay, I agree. Let's go. And then, guess what happened? 2 days later, Jessica is now searching She'd been searching for homes, right? And that led us to then one home, which then led to another, because it forced us to reach out to a realtor. It was a friend who then became a realtor. And it was that cascade of events led us to then make the right decisions, to then look at a certain area of town, where we then got put on this kind of like a notification list and everything. And it was that because of us taking the quick action, within 2 days, we then got the notification of a certain area of town to look in. And then that allowed us to then open up a whole new area of where we're going to look at. And lo and behold, because we took that action, we then became aware of a specific house that we wanted to tour. And we then, because we were so positioned, we were able to be the first people there to tour it. Went there, absolutely loved the house. And on the spot, again, because we have built this muscle within ourselves, which many of you, this muscle is super freaking weak, is the ability to make a decision on the spot and to be smart enough and to be organized enough so you can make that decision on the spot. Again, don't use that as an excuse, because if you're not organized, guess what? You can still figure it out. So, on the spot, made the decision, pulled the trigger, boom, next step, right? So now, at that night, we're like, okay, that was a really good house. I'm sure there's going to be other people who give great offers too. And our offer wasn't super special, but here's what happened. Because we were in such a habit of making those decisions, then guess what we did? That night, I looked at it and I said, okay, what else can we do? How can we make this be the most competitive offer? And a new idea came to me. Again, because I'd been using Technitude on this. I'd been reprogramming myself to be fully ready to get the home. Right, to put in the best offer, all of that. And this idea just popped into my mind, never even thought of it. Write them a letter. So again, I immediately, because this is a muscle that I've developed, it's very strong, I immediately open up my notes, start drafting the letter. That night, by 8 p.m. I thought of the letter. By 9:30 that night, we had finished the letter and we sent it in on the spot. And that thought still came up. I was like, oh, wait, I don't know if we're ready. Maybe we wait till the morning, or I don't know, right? And I was like, no, we're doing it now. So I looked it over once more. Jessica looked it over once more, right? Common sense, just make sure it's good. Okay, submit. 2-3 days later, get a call from a realtor. Hey, they loved that letter. They want to meet you. You get first priority. Boom. That could not have happened if I gave into my mind or gave into my feelings. So my feelings would have said, oh, it's too uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. We're moving too fast. Slow down. This is too much for me. Excuse. But I'm clear on what I'm here to do. Maybe you're not yet. But I'm going to say something that might either get through to you and help influence you to take your life more seriously, or you're going to gloss over and you're going to go look for another YouTube video or another audio or something for your entertainment because your mind is weak and you are looking just for entertainment. But here's why I do what I do. And here's why I've cultivated my decision-making muscle. It's because every single day on planet Earth, there are roughly 20,000 children who die from preventable causes. Stuff that we can prevent based on our actions and our decisions that we make right here, right now. And here's now why that is significant. Well, one, that should be significant in itself, but larger numbers like that, 20,000, like the mind just glosses over. It's like, that's so bad, but what could I do about that? I'm just one human, blah, 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 blah. Excuse. Rather, I look at that and I say, what's my responsibility in this? Well, I know how to build businesses. I know how to get groups together. I'm starting to learn about politics. I'm starting to learn about policy, learn about distribution systems. I'm studying Amazon. Studied how Bill Gates got Microsoft into basically every office in the world. I'm reading and I'm applying and I'm determining my future. And when I look at this, is instead of asking, what are the 10 reasons I can't do this? I say, what are the 10 reasons I, along with others, can figure this out to prevent these deaths? Sounds like we need a new logistic system that can guarantee that kids get basic nutrition. Sounds like we need to do a mass overhaul on how education happens. Because right now in schools, kids are learning more about CRT and gender and irrelevant mathematics than they are about, hey, common sense, how to build a business, how to have a real effect in the world. You know, it's done that way by design. You think Mark Zuckerberg wants competition? No. You think there's a reason the Zuckerberg Foundation is so involved in what goes into our children's brains? Yeah. Do you think they want your children to be addicted to the metaverse so they can keep making profit? Yeah. It's literally their legal responsibility because they're a publicly traded company. Look into that. So I'm studying these people and I'm building this decision-making muscle within me. And I already made one key decision, which was, hey, these are the principles I'm going to live by, period. That's it. So now it's become obvious to me we got to solve these issues. And here's my challenge for you. If you're still listening, bravo. 90% of people will not fathom or process this anytime soon. But that's okay. Is that an excuse for me to now say, oh, I should just stop? No. That's a reason for me to make even more videos, even more content. And challenge people, especially the people who say, oh, it can't be done. It's like, you're a fucking loser. Who are you to say that? I've learned this too recently. Like, you should want enemies. I use that term lightly. Like, you should want haters. Like, think of, like, if Hitler was around, or if, I don't know, some horrible warlord or some cartel high-up person, right, that's just committing atrocities in the world. Shouldn't you want them to hate you? Like, shouldn't you be so effective at doing the right thing, doing the good thing for humanity, doing the best thing, which would be alleviate suffering in the world? Common sense, duh. Anyone who says you can't know what's good or best, it's like, how about this? Let's eliminate suffering and get everyone their basic needs met. Duh. Let's do that. So wouldn't you want someone like that who's like evil to actually like not like you? I mean, of course, you'd want to sell them on why your vision's still going to help them too. You know, does the person who runs a drug cartel or all that, like, do you think they really want to be doing that? Or would they be more happy with like a family and like the ability to travel the world and like have fun and not worry about getting killed every day? You know, but again, the programming runs deep. So anyway, I look at my life and I look at everything that I can do and I frame it in this way of how can I take the most responsibility of what's going on in the world, and how can I find others who want to do the same? If you don't want to take responsibility, okay, then fuck off. But for those of you who can see the common sense of this, that if we can create a new elite class of even 1,000 new billionaires, which is not that hard, just watch my other videos. You can see that this is 100% possible. We are in the perfect position. We are disrupting the education industry. It's a $1.3 trillion a year industry in the United States alone. You know how much 1% of that is? Do the math. 1 billion? No. 10 billion. It's actually 13 billion. If you're to look at the 1.3. 13 billion is a lot of money. Are you prepared to handle that? But I'm willing to take responsibility for that. Direct that money to what would be best for all. And so that starts right here and right now, because every single day that I wait or that I give into a limitation, like let's just look at this, right? So it's February 23rd today. And let's say I have for example, I'm going to do a business meeting this morning and this evening with two people that want to hear more about Technitude. One of them had not the best upbringing. He realizes he's got some stuff locked away in his subconscious mind. He wants to be at the top of his game in real estate. So he realized, he's like, hey, this Technitutor thing sounds like it could maybe work for me. I'm like, yeah, possibly, right? If you use the thing, I know it will, but you still got to use it. And so I'm meeting with him, right? And then this other lady I met, she's like a dentist, like a dental assistant, something like that. I don't know her exact title, but and she wants to get Technotutor so she can keep mastering her craft as well. She's got some kids and stuff like that. And guess what? Within myself, right? It's negative, I think, 5 degrees today here in Minnesota. There's a snowstorm last night. I got just a lot going on at home, right? A lot of responsibilities. I could make the excuse and say, oh, you know what? Let's meet tomorrow. Let's meet in 2 days. It's like, no, we made the decision. I'm just gonna do it now. It makes sense. Let's meet today, right? It worked with their schedules. But here's the point. So it's February 23rd. We make this decision, right? We meet today. Let's say they want to get more involved in what we're doing, everything, right? But there's like a time delay, because if someone wants to get involved or just whatever happens today from our meeting, there's going to be a space and time consequence of that. And let's say then, because let's say one of them says, yeah, I want to get more involved, and right, they joined SelfPerfected, everything. And let's say now in a week, they actually jump in. And then let's say so in 1 month from now, March 23rd, let's say now they make a new best friend in the community, and they realize that they can pull their kid out of school, and the timing lines up perfectly that now they can pull their kid out of school and be ready to go for the next school year and all that, right? Like, that will fundamentally change that child's life and improve that child's life. But let's say that there was some cutoff that I'm unaware of. So if I would have delayed to February 24th, tomorrow, and then if it was by March 24th that everything got really rolling, right, that would have had some consequence that doesn't just have 1 day of delay. See what I'm saying? It's like every decision that we make, if you delay for 1 day, it doesn't mean it's just one other day that gets added to like the actual outcome you want. It could be an extra week, an extra month, an extra year. It could literally, the window of opportunity could pass forever. Like, I want you to see the significance of that. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of stories I could share from our self-perfected clubhouses, right? Me wanting to delay 1 week, but instead just doing it anyway. And then we had the right guy that came in who's now become, for example, Pedro on my team. We had one meetup where I almost delayed it a week, but he came anyway and people came anyway. And that was the catalyst for then Pedro now really stepping up. Now, Pedro's looking at how does he become governor in 6 years? Like, think of the implication of that. Right, but you'll never know if you make the excuse. You will never know if you make the excuse. And if you're interested in making the excuse, I will challenge you right now to say, stop. Because what has that kind of thinking got you? Picture it like this. Picture the person who's overweight and they're not happy with being overweight. Let's say they're 60 pounds overweight, and because of that, they know their life expectancy is going to be less. All right, deep down they know that, but for whatever reason they're not changing. Well, an overweight person makes the decision of an overweight person, right? That's how they got there, common sense. But it's not until they start making the decision of a fit and healthy person that things are going to change. Right? It's literally, it just comes down to the decisions that they make. And so, what decisions do you need to make? Right? Maybe you're not overweight, but you see your highest potential. You know, if you put the pieces together, right, you can have a huge effect, not just in your life, but in the lives of those around you. So what decisions do you need to start making today? Not tomorrow, but today, to actually have the best effect in the world. Start with your life. And when in doubt, do a simple pros and cons list, right? Grab a fresh piece of paper, grab a pen, pencil, whatever. Whatever's going to have you actually just do the damn thing. And write out pros and cons of doing the thing. And then talk to someone. Talk to someone who's actually trusted. Talk to someone who's living these principles. I can only vouch for certain people There's a very few people I would recommend that are reliable all the time to give sound advice, sound information. For example, the people I know that run the SelfPerfected group, they're great. Myself, I trust myself. I can give you good advice. I may not know exactly your situation you're going through, but I can bring it back to some first principles. And so, ultimately, I would just really suggest, look at this today. What decision are you putting off that you know you need to make? It's going to be best, right? Because you can always figure out how to make more money. You can always create opportunity. It's literally automatic for you. Just if your mind is not programmed properly, and if you're not doing something about addressing the programming in the world, you're never going to have a real effect in the world, right? That's why I distribute Technotutor, because Technitude is the only tool that allows someone to fundamentally address their programming, to change every last word and concept within yourself, so that it can be clear, and your understanding of it and your comprehension of it can be clear, right? That's a real education. Because think about it, what good is it if I can just change my programming, which I proved I could do with using Technotutor? I mean, all the money I made, the relationship that I created with Jessica, the various homes and different responsibilities that we've taken on, the community that we've built here in Minneapolis. Now we're getting involved politically. I mean, there's so much that we can do. So much that we are doing, that we've proven. It's just so awesome. Now, what good is it if it's just me? Right? I had to actually apply myself now to the real thing, which is supporting others through that journey. And I have seen hundreds, literally hundreds of lives change in front of my eyes in the past 2.5 years. And these are people that are around for the long run. We are like anti-hype. Like, of course, you got to play into the hype because some stuff is exciting, gets you hype. Like seeing my friends Drake and Christine get married. Drake, who said he would never be in a relationship because he had a horrible upbringing with his mom, reprogrammed himself, now has a beautiful wife. They're going to be having a family, I'm sure, in the next year. He's taken on that responsibility, right? Moved her to Florida with him. They're leading a community down there of people that want to change education system, business world. Not just that, daycares. I mean, Drake has single-handedly, with tutoring kids, changed the trajectory of kids' lives. Here's one story. If you don't realize the impact of what we're doing, specifically with Technitude and the reprogramming, Drake had a kid that came in, and Drake was doing Technotutor lessons with the kid, and they were doing colors one day because the kid's like 4 or 5, 6 maybe, I don't know, it's preschool age. And Drake was going through the colors with one of these little girls, and the word white flashed on the screen. Right? If you don't know how Technitude works, you got to go see a demo in person or just talk to someone, right? They can explain it to you. And anyway, this kid was looking at the word white, but it's not just like, I'm just reading a book on the word white. It's like, no, it's like Technitude is a physically integrating process. Like the way that the information is exposed and stored and everything, it's getting at the deeper layer of the mind, right? That's the real programming that nothing else can do. And this little girl, when the word white came on the screen, she said, I don't like white people. And Drake, who himself is black and Dominican, he goes, what do you mean? And this little girl was black, I believe. I know she wasn't white. Drake has a video of this and everything, but I'm just going to summarize. And Drake said, what do you mean? Because he knew this girl's best friend in the class was white. And so Drake said, hey, what do you mean? He's like, isn't this other girl like your friend? The girl's like, well, yeah, but I don't like white people. But Drake's like, no, where did you get that idea from? And they unpacked it together. And this little girl had accepted an idea that she had heard either at home or somewhere else of this idea of, we don't like white people, even though her best friend in the class was a white girl. And so Drake was able to support that child to dismantle that belief that she didn't like white people, because she did. Think of the implication of that. Think of if that went unaddressed and that child just accepted that belief. Especially in those formative years, right? First 7 years. So That's like one little tiny impact, right? But again, think of that decision that Drake made to go in that day and tutor those kids using Technotutor. Think of the impact that had on that child's life, right? Think of the chain effect of that. Think of the ripple impact. Like, do you want to have that kind of ripple impact in the world? Or do you like just going through life like a freaking boring movie, you know? Like, let's get real. Let's get real. So, that's that. I mean, in summary, like every single day that you delay a decision that you know is best, or you know enough that it's the best thing to do, it does not just delay the whole thing for one more day. It will put it back 1 month, 6 months, a whole year, multiple years, where you may never transcend the point. And that would be a damn shame, because you get one life. You're either going to give into your ego, which is self-interest only, which is fear, which is limitation, or you're going to step up and you're going to figure it out. And you can plug into a whole community like we have with SelfPerfected, and we'll support you to go above and beyond and above and beyond, over and over and over and over, until we get into the room with high government officials, the United Nations, other different groups where big decisions are made. And we will be able to explain to them why it makes sense to fundamentally have a supportive system in the world instead of an abusive system. So, if you want to be part of that, hit me up. All right. That's enough for today.